In the valley of Elah, two armies stood in silence. On one ridge, the men of Israel, on the other, the Philistines. Between them, a stretch of dust and stone that no soldier dared to cross. For 40 days, a giant had walked that valley. His name was Goliath of Gath. He stood nearly 10 feet tall, clad in bronze, his spear like a weaver's beam. Morning and evening he came forward, and his voice rolled across the hills like thunder. "Choose a man," he roared. "Send him down to me. If he can kill me, we will be your servants. But if I kill him, you shall serve us." And the soldiers of Israel, even mighty King Saul, trembled. No one stepped forward. No one dared. Far from the battlefield, in the quiet hills of Bethlehem, a young shepherd watched over his father's flock. His name was David, the youngest of Jesse's sons, ruddy of face and beautiful to behold. One day his father called to him, "Take this grain, this bread, these cheeses, carry them to your brothers at the camp. See how they fare, and bring word back to me." So David rose early, left the sheep in the care of another, and set out for the valley of Elah, not knowing that the God of Israel was guiding every step. He arrived as the armies were drawing into their ranks, shout meeting shout across the valley. He ran to greet his brothers, and then he heard it, the voice of the giant. The same defiance, the same mockery, the same blasphemy hurled against the living God. And David's heart burned within him. "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine," he asked, "that he should defy the armies of the living God?" The men around him whispered of rewards, of riches, of the king's own daughter. But David thought only of the honor of the Lord. Word of the shepherd boy's questions reached King Saul, and David was brought before him. "Let no man's heart fail because of him," David said. "Your servant will go and fight this Philistine." Saul looked upon him and shook his head. "You are not able. You are only a youth, and he has been a man of war from his youth." But David did not flinch. "Your servant kept his father's sheep, and when a lion came and a bear and took a lamb from the flock, I went after them and struck them and delivered the lamb from their mouths. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." And Saul said, "Go, and the Lord be with you." They clothed David in the king's own armor, bronze helmet, coat of mail, a sword at his side. But he could not walk in them, for he had not tested them, and he laid them aside. Instead, he took his staff in his hand. He chose 5 smooth stones from the brook and placed them in his shepherd's bag. And with his sling, he went out to meet the giant. Goliath came on, his shield-bearer before him, and when he saw David, only a boy, with a staff and a sling, he laughed in scorn. "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air." But David lifted his eyes, and his voice rang clear across the valley. "You come to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a javelin. But I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and all the earth shall know that there is a God in Israel." Then it happened. The giant rose up and came forward to meet him. And David ran toward the battle line, toward the giant, toward his destiny. He reached into his bag. He took out a stone. He placed it in his sling, and he let it fly. The stone sang through the air and struck Goliath in the forehead and sank deep. And the giant, the terror of Israel, the champion of the Philistines, fell forward upon his face to the earth. David stood over him, and with the giant's own sword, he ended the battle that no army had dared to begin. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. The men of Israel rose with a great shout, and the valley that had echoed for 40 days with mockery now echoed with the praise of God. For the battle was never the shepherd's. The battle belonged to the Lord. And to this day, the story of David reminds us that no giant is too tall, no fear too great, no sling too small, when the hand of God goes before us.